Hello, everyone, and welcome to NoCoders Office Hours, episode number 230. I apologize for any confusion we've had about the episode numbers recently. We're trying to nail down our process since Office Hours is being conducted by different NoCoders now. But this one is for sure episode number 230. Yesterday marks the 1-year anniversary of NoCoders Office Hours. We've been doing this for a whole year now. And if you don't know what it's about, essentially we hold 6 Zoom sessions every week, and our developer members can come onto the Zoom sessions and ask us any questions they want about Bubble, and we do our best to get them answered. If you would like to join us and see about getting your Bubble questions answered, please do go sign up at pronocoders.com, and you can come into the office hours and meet us, and we can learn a bit about what you're building and help you out. So let's go ahead and get started. Sebastian, you were here first. Do you have any questions for today?
Yeah, I do. I have some questions. So should I share my screen perhaps?
Yes, please.
Let's see. I was in this morning and I got some help. I got some help from you before regarding, let's see. Yeah, so I have this voting here. So I have a question. I have a company and I have different teams, and in each team they have a workshop, and the workshop is held by a manager, and the manager together with his teammates looks at the screen, and then each team member votes, and then you're supposed to see a graph of the team result. So if I look at this, and I got some help this morning, but I don't think we got it right. Let's see. Workshop 2. So if I press helpful, for example, so I create a new. I search for enablers. I change the first item. I search for the first item's value and I add a plus. But the way we did this morning was like this. So I searched for enablers value, first value, and I added a plus and the label team spirit, for example, for team spirit. But what happens is that in the database, let's see, team, all enablers here. Not here. I only get one row for each response, and I only get one label. So I figured I might add a label list instead, but I don't think that's right either. I think I now add in the workflow, I think I add 1 point for the enabler. I think I need to add a point for each label. You see what I'm getting at?
Okay. Yeah, I think so. So the I remember correctly, and that's a big if because it was a couple weeks ago. What we have is 10 to 15 people all voting at around the same time.
Yeah.
And they're rating on like 4 or 5 different things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so go to your data tab for a moment. So, and when they are when they're rating, we're supposed to be making, like, are we still working on check-ins? Are these related, the enablers related to the check-ins?
I can just quickly show. I have in the story here in workshops. Let's see. Here I have the check-ins. So that's another thing. That's another thing. And in workshop 2 here, another page, here I have the enablers. So these I call enablers, attitudes and behaviors that supports us in reaching our goals. So I call these enablers. These are something else than the check-ins. But and I mean, if the data values are a bit different, the check-ins could be 1 to 10. You can vote, each user can vote 1 to 10. Here you can vote for, you vote for maybe 3 or 4 of these, and each of them get 1 point.
So got it. Okay. So I think what we want to do is, I think the differences in your workflows where you were creating a new thing instead of, I think what Cameron was probably trying to help you do is make changes to the enabler to do the +1 when the enabler already exists for that label, right?
Yeah.
And that's and that's true. I think he was right. I think you don't want to create a new one every time that it's every time that someone votes, because what you're wanting to do is you want to compare the numbers pretty easily for how many votes each label got.
Yeah. So what do I do?
So what we want to do then is we want to go to, so show me the process from the preview page. So you're clicking those buttons, and then what you want to see at the bottom, right, so when you click the vote button, that's when you want to see the graph. Okay, so go to the workflow on that vote button.
Yeah.
Okay, so all that is doing is showing the graph. Okay, so there's nothing being saved there. I think, do you not want to count the votes until they click the vote button?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. I want to click. I can count the votes directly when they click. Yeah, directly when they click the button. That's fine.
Okay, and then reveal it. So in the database, go to data, go to app data, and go to enablers. And you only have one enabler, and I think you need 4, right? Yeah. Okay, so then we need to go back to the workflow on the buttons for voting.
Workflow So this is how make change to enabler. This is where they. Is this the right place?
I think the problem is that we're just not changing some sort of state or something to create the new labels.
Okay.
Because every time you click one of those buttons, if there isn't one in the database, it should be creating one in the database.
Yeah. So I have this condition. I have these conditions. For example, when button Team Spirits is clicked and this button is clicked is no, create a new enabler only if the enabler's count is 0.
Right, but would you mind if I
Yeah,
take
sure,
over the
sure.
screen? Have you shared this with us? What's the name of your app?
It's Team Talks.
I don't know if you've shared it with us yet.
No, I haven't. So how do I
Okay.
do it?
If you go to settings and to collaborators. Hey Ben, welcome.
It's under edit, right?
And if you add team@pronocoders.com as a collaborator, then I should be able to.
Setting is.
Oh, it's on the left-hand side, the second from the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. And collaboration. And invite user email.
Team@pronocoders.com.
Once again, please.
It's in the chat if you want to copy and paste it.
Yeah, okay, perfect. In the chat. Here, okay. Team, okay, team. Yeah. View and edit, perfect. Okay. Perfect.
And which page are we on? Sebastian, which page do I go to?
Yeah, sorry. Workshop 2.
Workshop 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And is this? Oh, I see. This is into repeating group. Okay. So the first thing I would do is recommend refactoring this so that this is actually a repeating group and not all hard-coded.
Okay.
That way you'll only need to have 2 workflows for each one. So we'll just start with the drive one. If I go to the workflow for the button drive, there are 2 different workflows. That's right. And there is a state here that is yes or no, a Boolean state as to whether or not this button is clicked. That is we're going to have to do a little bit of refactoring of everything to make this the cleanest as possible. I don't think I have time on office hours to help you with that right now, but I will make a video for you after office hours today in the next few hours. So probably tomorrow morning, like by the time you wake up, I'll send you a message in Discord and we'll have this cleaned up for you.
Oh, super nice.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, but essentially what it is we do need to keep track of which buttons are clicked, but probably not in the custom states here. Probably what we need to do is just go ahead and either create or add to the enabler, And then, yeah, you'll just show which buttons are clicked. So we'll use the state for that.
Yeah.
But we'll only have these 2 workflows because we'll put everything in a repeating group. So you won't have to have individual workflows for each button. And that'll keep this nice and clean for you.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, cool.
Awesome. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thomas, you were next. Do you have any questions today?
Nope, just tuning in.
Just tuning in? Okay. Kelly, you're up. You're on mute, Kelly. I don't know if you heard me.
Hey, sorry, did you just say my name?
I did. You're up. It's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Sorry. I had things coming at me. So my question is around version control in a general sense. I'm working now on a team with 2 other developers on the same app. And I just am curious about you, if you have done that and what recommendations you have. I can tell you how they're doing it now, if that's useful.
Sure.
But we've been trying to figure out like, what's the best practice here, you know, excuse me. So what they've done is basically we're each working on discrete projects that don't touch each other, which is lucky, right? So I'm upgrading the one of the pages to the responsive engine. Someone else is working on this other page doing like workflow stuff, whatever. And so most of the projects don't intersect at all, which is great. So what we've done is each person, for each project, there is a version, right? So my project is going to be, this, page responsive Kelly. That's what we call the version, right? I work on that. And then, and forgive me, I'm sort of new to like merging and forking and all that kind of stuff. So what they do is everybody works on their own projects on their own version of the app. And then if anything gets pushed to live, I think it goes to development. So no one's ever working in development, basically, right? So you would push your changes to development and then immediately make that live. And then everyone else, their version is going to show that there are like changes that need to be pulled into their version, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so as you're working, you need to like pull in all those changes, right? From whatever the person just pushed from development. So you're pulling in changes from development. And now everyone has like an updated version of the app. It, sounds good to me. I just don't know. and it's the team has recently grown from just 1 person to now 3 people. And so, we're like reading lots of articles and stuff about it.
Sure.
But, yeah.
I think the best way to do this is with a little bit of testing.
Okay.
So what I've done here is I have my development version of the Sandbox app, and then I added a version here called Kelly. Kelly is a duplicate of the development version. Right now, they are perfectly synced, and live has never been deployed, so it's also in sync, right?
Got it.
So if I really want to do this right, I'm going to have to deploy current version to live, and it's not going to let me do this because I have a whole bunch of issues in here. So that's okay. It's not a problem. We're just going to go in here and delete this stuff out so we can play. And we'll just tell the previous NoCoder team member if they didn't finish fixing whatever it was, they're out of luck.
Well, you can always revert.
We can. So then the other thing to keep in mind is now I'm working on the development version, which is now not in sync with the Kelly version. Right?
Right.
So we'll go and
yeah.
we'll show that. Yeah.
Great.
So let's show here. see from here. I know it would be bad, but it would be really nice if we could have a delete all offending issues.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
That would
But
be
for this
terrible.
purpose, yeah.
For now, it would be nice,
Yeah.
but there's very limited uses for that.
Did you see?
But one thing I'm hoping for. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you see that they've added padding today to the new responsive
Yes.
engine? Yay!
Yes. Although do they call it gaps or padding?
Well, that's a separate thing. There is padding on containers,
it was
but then there's
separate.
gaps in, I think, repeating groups or column.
I'm surprised Eli didn't point out padding, because he was like very critical when it first came out. He's like, I'm really grateful for the responsive engine, but they definitely need to add padding. But he
Yeah.
only mentioned the gaps today in the general channel. Okay, so now it will let me deploy to live, but you can see if I go into the Kali version, I should still have lots of issues, because there should still be issues. And it is, because this wasn't here in the other one. But
Yeah,
weren't
weird that
showing
it's
this
not
issue.
showing. Huh.
It's not. This is just the normal like bubble kind of. It
Right,
takes it a second to show all of the issues everywhere.
right.
But you can see that this is here, but we just deleted this from the development version. So what I'm going to do
Right.
is I'm going to go ahead and go to the Kelly version. I'm going to delete it. All right, so now we just have the development version. We don't even have a live version because we've never deployed to live. So the first thing I'm going to do is deploy to live, then I will recreate the version. I'm going to refresh you because you're not doing it yourself. So for those who are watching who are not familiar with version 8, it's very important for being able to maintain especially live apps. So I know on the personal plans for Bubble, they do not allow you to have an extra development version. All you have is your development version and your live version. The very first thing I do when we push one of my projects at AirDev to live is I recommend, and we're planning to do any continuing work on the app, is I recommend that the app owner, the client, go ahead and upgrade to the professional version, because whenever we're working on updates in development and we already have people working on the live version, it's really important to be able to make updates to the live version quickly and easily if a bug comes up. And if you just have the development version, it's much trickier to do that because you might have a whole new part of the app that you're working on and lots of changes that you're in the middle of making and it's not ready to deploy live. And you'd have to revert the app to before those changes, make the change that needs to go live, and then revert it back. And it just gets really messy. So it's much easier to be able to create what I call a hotfix version of the development branch that is already synced with live. And then in between deployments of your like versions, right? So as you're making updates to development, lots of different crazy things going on, getting it ready for the next big push. If something happens in production and you need to make a quick fix, you can go ahead and make that fix on the hotfix branch. And here's where Kelly's question is coming in, and it's really important. And it's merging things back all together seamlessly. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy to live.
So the hotfix branch is for like little bugs that you can just ship quickly. That's what you're saying?
Exactly.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So now I have a live version. Why didn't I deploy live? So now I have a live version and I have the development version. The development and live version are perfectly synced. I have not made any changes to development since I last deployed to live. So now I'm going to create a Kelly version. And Kelly now on her version can do all the things that she needs to do, which they should never be things on the same page, right? So that's the biggest thing is like you wouldn't want to make any changes where your colleagues are working, or it's going to be really difficult to keep those changes synced up with each other, right?
Yep.
So you can make changes, and then I would recommend when you are ready to push your changes into development before they go live, that you also push them into every other version.
Ah.
Right? So here I'm going to make one and we'll call it Paul. So at the moment, Kelly, Paul, development, live are all in sync. Did it not take my Paul one that I just made? I feel like I'm having to do extra refreshes today.
Mhm. And so, right. So Matt was asking if you don't have a hot fix version at this point.
No, I haven't created. I'll create one
haven't
right
created
now.
that.
Yeah, so in the production plans, okay, yeah, so I'm on an agency plan. It only has 3 development versions as opposed to a production plan, which would have 20 different versions available. So you only get 2 extra versions. So yeah, let's call Kelly's hotfix instead. So Kelly's is going to be the hotfix, and then Paul would be a separate project happening, and then you have development. So Paul is going to make a change now. I'm going to go to Paul's bubble. You're being a pain. So if I go to, let's see if it's gonna let me go to Paul every time now. Yeah, I think because I accidentally, like, they only want to let me have 3 versions or something. It's not letting me do it. But the concept is the same for you, is that essentially anytime that you're pushing to development, because development is going to be quote unquote the master version, that's what we typically call it in like in a traditional dev environment, you would have like your master version, which is synced perfectly with your live version, your production version. And so anytime that you are going to make changes in your version and you want to push them live, I would first push them to every environment and then push them live, then push the master or the development live, right? And the reason to do that is because you can test it and you can see how it's working, but you'll
So you push
see
your
if
changes.
there are conflicts.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so you push your
Because
changes
if
to
you-
each every other version, then to the development version, if there's no conflicts, then you push development to live.
Exactly. And the reason for this is because then you'll see individually if someone else has been working on something and if there's a conflict, Bubble is just hating me right now. I broke a boundary. I was trying to establish boundaries and I keep crossing them with this.
Well, I can share
yeah.
my screen to see the editor, my editor. I mean, I can't push anything if that's helpful at all.
Hang on just a second. Sorry, I had to talk to my mom for a moment. Yeah, if you want to share your screen, maybe I can explain it a little bit better. I'm not sure if that would be helpful, but might as well.
Yeah, might as well. Stop the other. Yes. Okay, so this is our editor. This is the one page that I'm working on, and you can see I'm on, I mean, I have some issues, so I couldn't. Yeah. Can you push if you have issues to other versions?
I think you can. You just wouldn't be able to deploy it live. So you'd want to resolve issues before you do that.
Right. So you can see we've got like, these are the other two projects that are going, and then they're using development as their hotfix thing at this point. So nothing ever happens in development but those.
Got it. Well, okay, so then that's a good thing for practice, because then if you make a what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't then just sync with live, like you say, like you see right there, it says live has new changes, click here to sync.
Right.
I would prefer, and maybe this is just one of those sort of superstitions I've gotten from working with versions and Bubble, and maybe they fixed it, but I think it's better to click. You see that button next to the trash can button?
The little
for each of the
fork
versions?
thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These guys.
Yeah. So if you click that, what happens is it will give you the option to merge your current version changes into that version.
So if I click this, I'm going to merge what I've done into the campaign version. Is that right?
Exactly. Yep. I believe that's right. So it'll confirm that with you before it does it. But yeah, that's what I would recommend doing is go ahead and, if you're ready to go live with it, then go ahead and push your changes into all of the other versions, including the development, before you push development to live. Does anybody, Matt or anyone else who's worked with versions, do you have any other tips or tricks?
Tips, maybe not tips, but certainly just a kind of bit of clarification, because we do struggle with this. And I just want to understand, you have which, in that list of 3 or 4 now, you've got live, development, and then 3 kind of forks. Which version, Kelly just said that no work gets done on development, I mean, conceptually. So everyone works separately and then pushes the change to development, and then development gets deployed.
Yeah.
Right.
And
the hotfix.
Unless it's a hotfix.
Yeah.
Right. And then I would also do the same with the hotfix. If I make a change on development for a hotfix reason and I push it live, before I push it live, I would push the change to all of the other versions. And
Okay, that's the bit I was confused. Yeah, because then you've got, so you have to make sure then everyone else has that change and then deploy to live. And the other forks won't lose any of their other work unless there's a conflict, unless you've worked on the same group.
Right. Well, it'll show you if there's, if you're pushing into, and this is the thing that I would like to be able to demonstrate, if you're pushing into another version and there are conflicts, you get to resolve those conflicts one by one, right? For each of those versions. And then, that's the ideal scenario.
I found that very, it's not the most user-friendly from what I remember.
That's what I was going to say, and that's the main reason I don't like to work with versions, because I found that when the versions differ quite a bit from dev, then you have a lot of conflicts. You can have up to at least, 25, 30 conflicts that you have to go one by one, and then like the editor freezes and it's very slow, and then you don't even know which conflict is the correct one, and it's kind of confusing. So what I eventually do is just delete the version and create a new one, because that's the way I deal with those conflicts, honestly.
Yeah,
off,
so
turn
we had
on.
read that you're supposed to delete, like, say you're done with click tracking project, you just delete that version then. And then the next project is going to be a totally new version, right?
Yeah,
Right.
when
Yep.
it's not a lot of conflicts, you can go like manually, but then if you have several, it's better to delete the version and create a new one, a fresh one.
Right.
But then
and
you
you're
lose the-
hoping for.
Oh, but you can push.
Go ahead.
So before you delete, you can push the work that you've done to the other versions, you're saying. Is that? I mean,
The
because
thing
if
is
you
that we
delete it,
don't-
you
we
lose
do
that
the-
work, right?
Honestly, I haven't done it like you, like we do the other way around. Our main source of truth is always development. So we take everything from there. We create versions from development. And we don't push anything from the versions to development. I think.
How
that's
do
it.
you then push the changes you've made in other versions? You just push them.
Honestly, we don't work that much with, correct me, Matt, but we don't work that much with versions because of
No,
that.
no, this is what I'm observing. Basically, we've been doing it wrong in a sense, or the reason we don't like it because we were doing it wrong, or at least we weren't helping ourselves out. I like the idea of having development as an environment that you don't work on, because then
I think that's
we have problems with live bugs, and it's a bit of a scramble to let's just make sure dev runs before we do this live, because we might have forgotten some changes, but we could actually avoid that, at least the stress, by actually working on a separate environment, and then just you can fold each change into the development when it's ready.
Yeah.
That's how
we can try
the
that.
light bulb moment I've just had.
Oh, yay. Glad it was helpful for someone, including me. Can I ask where the errors come up, the conflicts? Does that come up here in your, in your issues? Or is it somewhere else?
No, actually, no, it's somewhere else. It's actually when you try to push it in. So I'll take over the screen because I can push now. I deleted the offending version.
Cool.
All right, so I'm going to go into the Kelly version and I'm going to make a change. If it will ever lose. Bubble doesn't like to change versions very much. Even like in your app data, changing it from like live to development and back to live again can be. So I'm in the Kelly version, and I'm just going to make this change, and this will cause a conflict because this will be different than what's deployed to live. So I'm just going to go back to 229 here, right? And so now I'm going to, if I deploy to live from Kelly, we'll see what happens. It will let me. So now my live version is synced with Kelly, but it's not synced with development. When I go to development, development's going to show that development is not synced with live, which is what Matt is realizing you never want to have happen, right?
Yep. Sorry, I was eating a burrito.
So now development has this red warning here because it's not synced with live. So I'm going to click here to sync it. And what I'm hoping for is, so now it's maybe it doesn't do it with text. It's text key. So I changed it from development. I changed it to 229 without throwing an error. Maybe if I go in, say, I guess it doesn't find text changes to be conflicts. What it'll find to be a conflict would be like if you like did something super different with a workflow or something, it will pull up a whole separate box that you probably not seen before. and it will say, here are the conflicts like merging in, and it'll let you choose between which one you want to accept versus the other ones. So the difference here, let's see if we can trigger up. So here, this one says the role is app admin, go to page admin, and I'm going to change it to go to index, or I should say, so it won't be a full. So I've done this, which is different. So this is now conflicting with the go to admin, right? So I'm hoping what happens now if I deploy this live. And I go to development. Development will yell at me again. I consider red warnings to be yelling. Let's see here. Admin. It's not noticing that the live is different. It just updated within the last 4 minutes though, right? Yeah, the live was updated 1 minute ago. From Kelly, it was updated 1 minute ago. And then.
Do you think it just hadn't, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not, it's taking Bubble a little bit longer to recognize that it's.
Yeah.
That the development live are not synced. There we go. So now if I sync, I'm hoping it triggers this reconciliation thing we need to show. Says there are no merge conflicts. I'm hoping it changes its mind. So right now, I think because we only have the 3, it's saying, okay, if you push it, then of course you want these changes or something. I have seen it pull up though before with just the 3 versions where it will show the reconciliation that I'm looking for. But this is one of the reasons why it's really important that you stay in your own lane on those versions.
Yeah.
It's because you don't want to trigger any of those merge. You could vouch for me. I'm not telling the truth.
No, but you know, I don't know why it's not working either, because I've done that before, and it's you get that dialog box saying merge or keep. It's like, and the language is confusing. You know, merge or keep. What's the?
Oh, I had it backwards. So when you click this button, it's saying it's going to merge Kelly into development. So if I click this button, do you want to add changes from Kelly to development? And you want to say confirm. And then it'll say, it'll pull up, it'll do the same thing. It'll tell you if there are conflicts, right?
So you would have to go into each version and click on the little fork thing from Kelly in order to update each. So you can't from Kelly merge down to the other versions. You have to go into those versions.
go into those versions and merge Kelly in. Yes, that's true. And then the reason I think that's better is because then before you deploy live, you'll see if there were conflicts, so you'll have a heads up about them.
Yeah.
Because it won't be a conflict until that other branch is also merged into everything else.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So do you, when you have done this in the past, do you do it project based like we're doing, where like each version is just for a project, and then once that project is done and deployed, then you delete it and you start a new version for the next project? Or do you have like each person has their own version?
So I've never managed a project except NoCoders with multiple devs before, and I was planning on using the professional version with like a hotfix branch and then a development branch, and it turned out that Eli and Pablo weren't paying any attention to that. So I went back to the personal plan, because we're just sort of, everybody is independent enough and is checking in with each other as we make changes. So we didn't end up needing it like I was expecting to use it. Most of the time, what I use it for is the hotfix version and the development version. And sometimes we use the extra version because most of our plans are just on the professional plan that I work on. And sometimes we'll change it. We'll delete the hotfix version and we'll make it into a QA version. So that way the clients will test the QA version while the developer continues to develop on the development version.
Right. Got it. Interesting. Okay, cool.
Okay, can
Thanks.
I just confirm?
used-
Can I just confirm?
Sure, yeah.
So when I there's two ways that I just saw. Kelly or whoever has, you can have the development as the kind of static version that everything gets merged into. Sorry, that's still the case, but you avoid making changes on the development version because you want that to be the hotfix ability. You want to be able to deploy a hotfix from development, or you do the opposite, where you have a separate version that's not worked on called hotfix. That if something happens in live, you just use that version to deploy the hotfix. Is that what have I understood this right? There's two approaches.
Yep, so you can use your development version as the hotfix version. So the main thing is you have to know which of your versions is going to maintain sync with your live version always.
Right.
That's the main
the key
concept.
concept.
Just make sure that one of them is always synced with live, and that you're syncing everything else not from live back into those versions, but straight from the version that changed itself. So, because I can click that button to sync development with live or to sync another version with live. I just have I don't know why I have that superstition, but I just think it's better to do this merge instead. I won't go into the time that Bubble reverted my live version to a previous version without my say-so.
Oh my God.
That was very strange. I only experienced that one time, but that's a good point. The other thing is the live version has its own history. So you don't have to revert and deploy to live. If you ever want to revert your live version, you can go into its own history and revert.
Yeah, and that's what confused us actually, because when we did that, what is development? Like, so then you have normally a sync development is when I've done a release to live, development is the same as live at that moment. And then we realized there was a problem. And so we reverted live to a time in the past. And then I couldn't, my head broke when I was like, so what's development now? How do I get development like live when live is now in the past?
Then,
and it just kind of
right. That's a good question. Let's test it. This is why I always test things. Like, okay, so now my live and my development should not be in sync. my live is behind my development actually. It almost broke my brain. I used versions to make up for the fact that a client went in and made a bunch of changes and deployed his own changes live, but also deployed the developer's changes live, which were not ready. So essentially he broke his own app. And then he came back and he was like, I don't understand what happened.
Always. And did nothing.
I think it's probably just because it doesn't see those things as conflicts. Come on, Bubble, wake up. It's because it's crashed. Give me a second now, Bubble. Wake up. Kelly should also not be live. I think there's been 2 deployments. Nope, it's not wanting to play today. My live version was actually updated a minute ago. But by the way, just so you know, the headache that is versioning in Bubble's no code is no more painful in my experience than versioning with like a regular traditional dev.
Oh, is that right? Huh.
We had, I mean, we were forever, I was managing like the different devs were just kind of trying to coordinate merging with master and merging with this, and they were doing it very much like your path, Kelly. They were doing different project branches that they would then delete after that project was over. So,
Okay.
but it was at least as painful as this.
Oh my God.
Like always trying to figure out which development, like when you have one developer, it's the developer goes in and makes changes and then pushes those changes to live. It's really straightforward. Anytime you start doing development on different branches, this kind of coordination is tricky. So,
I mean, but at the same
headache is-
time, like, I didn't even think about the fact that like you might have a tiny bug that you could fix with just like in 5 seconds, but you can't push your development if you've been working on a big thing in there, you know, like
Right.
upgrading a page, like upgrading the page to the responsive engine's taking days because there's so much on this page, you know? So, and then, you know, something breaks and you can fix it.
and you want to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so you would need to, even if you're just one developer, like if you're doing a big project like that, probably you need versions anyway. So.
Yep, I use it all the time. The hotfix version is a really important thing. And I think your history on like a professional plan still only goes back 10 days or something like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like wonder if we can get
It's
Bubble
30
to tell
days.
us exactly. Oh, is it 30 days on professional and 10 days on personal? So it's still like
7
you
days
can
of
have-
personal, I think.
Is that even for save points? If you want to revert to a save point, or is it
Yes.
just like
Mhm.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
So
I
that's
didn't
why you
know
have to be
that.
really like, you have to be like, so if you ever are needing to go back in time, hopefully you caught the bug or whatever it is within the time period so you can revert back far enough
Jeez.
to go back before it and all of that fun stuff. So,
Wow. Okay. Oh my God. All right. Thanks, Tanya. Appreciate it.
you're welcome, of course. Matt and Jose, welcome. You were wondering about updating that repeating group, Jose?
Hey, yeah. Well, actually, Eli responded offline, and we're trying a couple things, which also I would like your input about our theory of why it works sometimes, like why it doesn't sometimes, and it's kind of weird and unpredictable and frustrating because it's correctly said. So why do you think it works like 20 hours out of the 24 hours of the day? It's very weird.
Yeah, and I think you're not far off with recognizing the time of day when it's more susceptible to happen. And
Yeah.
I think anytime that something is working some of the time and not other times, we talk about this thing called race conditions, because Bubble is going to try to run as many of the actions in your workflow as fast as possible, and they're not going to necessarily run them in order, which is very misleading because the way they make it look in the workflow interface is it looks like each of your actions will go one by one.
Yeah.
Right? And so there are some ways to force Bubble to go in the order that you want it to go in, and that's probably what we're looking for in your workflows, is the opportunity to make it run in order and just like force it to run in order so that it always works the way that you want it to.
How do you usually do that, with custom events, or how?
Yep, custom events, yes.
Custom
And,
events run in order then all the time, in theory.
So one custom event that then triggers another custom event will always run in order, the first one to the second one, as far as I know. So
We'll
That
try.
makes sense, like a daisy chain.
Yeah.
Yes,
I did a
exactly.
different thing where instead of this repeating group doing a search, I did a display the search on a workflow step each time, and it's how it's running right now, and it seems to be working. Let's see if we can replicate that and we can iterate over that with other solutions. But yeah, knowing that the custom states run in order also, maybe we can do some tests with that logic as well. But I also have, a part of that which we're working in parallel. What I wanted to just take advantage of this time, just this minute to. We had another issue with the plugin. Remember, where for downloading CSVs, because our customer needs to have the historic data of what happens on the app. So we have data types that are users, project configurations, and the card products that we don't see here because they're not working. And I created this portal for them so they can download the data directly from the database. What this does is just downloads a standard CSV with all the users' data, for example. And this is running a workflow. For example, for users is this one that it's creating a JSON with Eli's plugin. It's doing a search for the users and format as text with all the attributes that they want on the CSV. And that seems to be working perfectly, as you can see, because of the amount of records, and it doesn't crash because of the size of the file. The problem we have is that we need to do that exact same process with this data type. I have it here, which is called, for example, card products. And as you can see on our live database, we already have over 70,000 records, which is making the workflow not being completed, and this logic doesn't work. So we're looking for ideas to how we can bring this solution to a customer where they can download the data from somewhere without this limitation of size, because in the end it's just text. It's just a very big data data sheet, but it doesn't have any images or anything. It's just a string of texts.
So if I recall correctly, I just did something similar with this, with maybe even the same plugin, with Eli's plugin, and just the amount of data. Bye, Kelly. And what it was that he recommended, he said it's not the plugin that's timing out, it's Bubble's own, like when it's doing the search for everything, it's timing out. And so he's never had a problem with the plugin grabbing that much data. It's the plugin itself is sort of impervious to how much data it is. It's just the amount of time that Bubble is taking to search and find and return all of the data. It has its own limitation, and it's timing itself out. So I think I'm trying to remember his solution that he recommended. Was essentially sending, maybe even sending in the search or something. This is on no, it's in your backend workflows.
Yeah.
So is it? We'll probably need to ask. Yeah, we'll probably just need to ask
So it was
Eli to articulate that again.
So different, instead of doing the search when the workflow is triggered. I'm very interested in knowing the solution, because I cannot think of another way rather than doing the search either here when the workflow is running, or maybe do it before, store it like in a repeating group, and then send it to the API. But the search has to happen.
Exactly.
No, the search has to happen either way.
Yeah, the search, right. The search does have to happen. It's just the search, there's some sort of limitations in the back end workflows or something that Bubble's like timing itself out. But if you go to, like maybe if you do the search and send in the results as a parameter, maybe that would work. I don't know if we can try that in here. But we can also ask and see if I'm missing one of the steps. I will say one thing that is coming up over and over and over again is that we're moving, we're starting to recommend and move people their backends into Xano instead, whenever they need, like, you shouldn't need that for a CSV download, but but any kind of like mass data manipulation, we're just not even recommending hacking Bubble anymore. We're just saying Xano.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I saw Pablo's tweet on that today, and I found it very interesting because
we had
it's very powerful.
we had a 2-hour intro to Xano with Eli, Pablo and I did, because we're starting to move all of our intense data stuff over to Xano.
Nice.
Yeah, the new agency plan that I went along, you can kind of like share the components across multiple apps, which is quite interesting as a as a feature as well.
To confirm this subject here I'm doing the search directly on the JSON element here to the plugin, right? So you're saying instead of that on the workflow, I add a parameter. I add a parameter that is not the actual search of things, but it would be the text, no? So the parameter I'm sending would be text, or would be the list of things?
Yeah, maybe
I think the text.
I think we're going to want to ask Eli for his opinion on this.
All right.
I'm not remembering his exact answer, so I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction.
Sure. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another option, I've just realized, can you not just chunk? So whilst you have to do all records, you do the first month and then trigger the next. So you actually get 6 CSVs rather than 1. Just as another approach. So I just triggered my thought when I was watching it. So you like batch the production of the CSV if it's but I know it's not a data problem. I remember Eli saying it. I can't remember where he said it though. about this.
So
Yeah,
like matching the, and then you would have six, let's say it's 6 months data, 6 months data. You would have 6 CSVs, or you eventually join them together and just have
Oh, you
one.
can just, I don't know. Yeah, maybe just 6. I'm just trying to think of like if they want the data to get 6 CSVs rather than 1 isn't the end of the world if this is a real blocker. But I do remember Eli saying something somewhere about it's not the plugin, it's Bubble and this search, and there is a way around it. So
Yeah, he
I'm
answered.
looking
I
forward.
have it here. Look, he actually answered. There will be some limitations on the data corporate bubble puts, but there is a workaround that might work. But he didn't say what that work,
Okay.
which.
All right,
So
we'll take that one off.
what should we do, Tonya? What do you recommend us doing? Should we? Is Eli sometimes on the home office hours, or should we work offline? Like
no, generally, yeah, we should probably work offline. So generally, Eli doesn't come to office hours, but if I knew this question was coming up, he probably could have briefed me in another meeting, and then I would be more articulate in helping to answer. But we can always work offline, off of the app.
With the thread we already have on the channel. He already has some history, and we can.
Sure. Yep.
Right.
Yep, he can always make you a Loom, and then the Loom is just charged at the same rate as your one-on-one time, which is $2 per minute. So, and then with Looms, we don't have a minimum. So if it only takes him like 10 minutes to explain, you only get charged for the minutes he Looms.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Would be great if we can make this work, because we have the customer on our back with this. So.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure we'll figure it out. And then also, like in the future, I see a lot of these things being.
Yeah,
I really see Xano sort of replacing the database a lot of the time for a lot of our apps, just because manipulating the data and making things happen that you need to have happen is Bubble's database is great for simpler projects, but as soon as you head into areas where it's a little more complex, Bubble starts to break down, and then everything that you're doing is hacking Bubble limitations, and that's not really the point of no code.
Yeah. So Xano would work a lot more or less like I don't really know Xano that much, but I know, for example, Airtable. We have the database of this app in Airtable. And we're also struggling with that integration, because the customer does updates on this database, usually small things like corrections on the name, or price updates and things like that. And then this has to be migrated to Bubble, because this is just a clone of Bubble's database. So we've tried everything. I've tried the integration with Airtable. So every time a change is made, it triggers an action that updates the data, or have a workflow in Bubble that runs and pulls the data, but they are kind of slow, and I don't think it's the best practice to do that. Have you worked with Airtable and in cases like this, or not really?
Extensively. I love Airtable, and I don't know, can you send a webhook from, can you send a webhook from Airtable to Bubble? Because that's the thing that I've been looking for, that everybody's using like Zapier or something for.
We found
the way that I typically.
We've accomplished that with Zapier, Integromat, or things like that, but I don't know how to do it directly from Airtable.
Right. So
this.
The way I get around that is I just schedule as often as I need it to be updated. I just schedule the workflow to run. So like for Ben in his app, every 24 hours or something, but you could go as low as like every 5 minutes or something like that. You just go and check for new records and then pull in the new data.
Where do you run that workflow in Bubble?
Yep, I run it in Bubble, in the backend workflows of Bubble, and then I use the Bubble's Airtable plugin. Is actually pretty fantastic.
Yeah, well, here I have,
But I have a whole, I did a 2.5 hour Airtable integration tutorial, like a member only event at the beginning of January, I think. And I think Pablo's almost done like time stamping it, but I could make that video available to you if you wanted to see exactly how I do it. I go through all of almost all of the things I could think of, right? So like how you can pull information from Airtable to Bubble initially, but also in an ongoing basis like you're talking about.
yeah, that would be great. If maybe you did some things that we haven't considered, because I also created these API workflows to either create new records or modify existing ones. And it works. It definitely works, but I don't know why I feel it's not 100% reliable because of the amount of data. I tried to use it and it worked, but it was very slow. Maybe that's not a problem, and maybe this is a solution we will.
Well, it is. I mean, it is a little bit on the slower side, especially when you're first pulling the data into the Bubble database, because it's a recursive workflow. And like I said, like with Xano, you can run through things recursively and get all of the information in like a matter of seconds, whereas with Bubble, every single record would have to be separated by like a second. So it just takes a lot of time. So otherwise you risk overburdening Bubble and then it times out and breaks your whole workflow, which is always bad.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Great.
yeah, I'll
But
share,
is that in the vault? Where's that video? That's a bit of that.
it should, yeah, it should be in the vault. I don't know. I didn't realize it wasn't already in the vault. Pablo is just adding the timestamps to it. So, but I can just send you like the raw recording, and I have like the syllabus that I covered.
Right.
And I did the same. I did a similar thing for Active Campaign a couple months ago.
Nice.
My next one. That's only 6 minutes, 33 seconds. The one I'm talking about is 2.5 hours. So
All right.
I'll find it. I'll send you the video or a link to the video.
Wow.
And then the next one I'm planning on doing is going to be like two-way texting with Twilio from Bubble, that sort of thing.
Nice.
But those are the like in-depth member-only events that I do.
What
Right.
was that? What was that? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's next for the member-only event? Is that what you're asking?
No, what did you said about Twilio, or what? I didn't
Yeah.
hear.
So I'm planning another member-only event, which will probably be like a 2.5 to between 2 and 3 hours, like an in-depth integration tutorial. And we're going to do two-way texting. So sending text messages out to users, but also receiving them back in Bubble. So you can create your own
Okay.
back and forth.
All right. Great. So we look forward to, I mean, these are the two critical things we have to handle in the next days. So maybe
Sure.
we can work offline with Eli to work around this CSV issue. And we are testing solutions on the Airtable thing that we have to have, but it's more important the other one. The CSV has more priority, honestly.
Yep. For Airtable, it just like when you say it's taking too long, what did you mean exactly? Like it's taking too long to recursively put the information into Bubble?
Yeah, when I trigger the workflow, then it starts loading, and then I got the message, for example, that message that says request timeout or something, like that message you get when the workflow fails from Bubble. And then I clicked OK, and then like, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes later, boom, the information got updated. Like the workflow was already over, but it kept running in the server, and then it updated the data. So I was like, kind of uncomfortable because I didn't have control of what actually ran and didn't. So, and I'm planning on, I want that workflow to be running periodically. And so we don't have to manually update the information. But maybe I need to run some tests and maybe it is working and I'm just thinking it is not, but.
Yes, I think I use the Bubble Airtable plugin, and I haven't seen those issues with like a timeout request at all. So I had a developer that was using Airtable's API with the API connector in Bubble, and he was running his own workflows, and I'm not sure why there would be a difference. But I haven't been having that problem using the Bubbles plugin with
Yeah.
Airtable. So maybe they have something factored in there that I can't see that I haven't investigated.
Yeah, it would be interesting if you can share with us the video you say, maybe we are applying, there are some good practices or things we're approaching differently that are making it work less efficiently. So yeah, it will be helpful.
Yep, I will send it. Yep, I will ping Pablo right away and send it as soon as he replies back.
Oh, super.
But I think, yeah, we should be able to find that video for you. And I'll also send over the syllabus. I ran in order of the syllabus, so it should be easy to find the section that you need.
Super. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course, I'll send you over that as soon as we're done here. But Adeboye joined in the meantime, so I'm going to check in with him real quick first.
Sure. Thank you. Hey,
Tony. Adeboye. You're welcome. It was great to see you both.
Bye. Same.
Hi, Tonya.
Take care.
You too. Hi, Adeboye. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going well. Since I'm the one left, I think I joined in late. It's a good thing I came in today. It's been crazy on my end.
You didn't miss us. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about you earlier. It's like I haven't seen Adeboye in a while, but then I haven't done office hours in a while either. So
you haven't?
This is my first time doing. Well, this is my first time doing office hours in a week because Cameron and Sam and Pablo have been doing. Pablo took over on Monday for me, and we'll do the same on Monday. And then Cameron and Sam share the other 4 sessions. So.
Okay, that's fine. So it's making it easier now. So you can do other things. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have any questions for today?
Yeah, I do. Look, I've been wanting to join office hours for about 2 weeks now since the last time we talked, but I've not been able to join because when I get back, I have to do stuff at home with my wife. So by the time I'm done, I'm just so tired.
I know, and it's only, and not to scare you or anything, but once the baby comes, and it's like, you'll probably be like, Tanya, I need to pause my membership for a minute. So we could do that if when you need to take paternity leave.
Yeah, hopefully. So yeah, can I share my screen, please? You've done this. You've done it to me before, right? And you did it. I tried to replicate what you did, but it doesn't seem to be working, and it's pretty frustrating. That what's going on here? I don't know. I tried to work on it for 2 days now. I've not been able to crack it. So let me just share my screen. I don't know what you did, but maybe I just don't have the magic touch. So yeah, we'll see. Screen 2, right? Yeah, gotcha. This is screen 2. So yeah. I don't know if you can remember this page, right? So the workflow is I want to create, this is the list of purchase orders, right? I want to create a new purchase order. It goes to the input page where I now input all the purchase order items. I now save it, right? So I want to replicate the same thing for payables, right? Same thing. And I did the same thing and it doesn't seem to be working. I don't know. Okay. So when I click on new, it doesn't go to the next page, right? And that has been the problem. Let me just take it back to the workflow for this one, how we did it, right? So on page load, we have this, right? Then when the button is clicked, we go to create purchase order, which creates a purchase order. Then we go to page purchase order. Then we have the key parameter of order, result of step one's unique ID, right? Then taking a look at this is the condition we have for the list where it says get order from page, order test group list. This is supposed to be for the second one, right? This is what I want to happen where we said order, purchase order, get order is not empty. This element is visible, right? It's the same thing I did for this and it doesn't seem to be working. Same thing. See the conditional, right? But in this, rather than use the parameter name of order, I use bill. Since the type is bill, I put that there. This element is visible. And it doesn't seem to be working, Toya. I don't know.
Got it.
It just
Well,
makes
so the thing, so go to the, you can hear me, right?
yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
So go to the workflow on the new button for the payable.
Workflow for the new button, the payable. Yeah, this is it.
Okay, and then go to page bills. Is that already the current page that you're on?
Yeah, this is the current page.
Okay, and then send more parameters to the page and nothing is happening. So refresh, go back to the preview and click that button to create a new payable again.
So this is it, refresh. I'm gonna reload the whole page. So it's, you see, each time I create, it's creating, because it's gonna create a new, you can see, because I've been repeating, it's creating a new bill.
Right, the new ones, right.
Yeah, not taking me to
It's just not switching. Well, I think the problem though is that when you are, I think this group here that is showing the list of bills is also using the same parameter name. You see how it says bill equals list
bill equal list, yeah.
at the top?
Yes,
So when you click the new button,
yes.
go back to the workflow
For
in
this,
the editor.
so is this the bill?
It's okay. It's, you're setting the key to be bill equals, and then you're putting in the unique ID.
Yeah.
And it's not, but I think your group that you're on is showing the list of bills. It's go to the group that holds the list of bills, that one. And the conditional is when get bill from page URL is group lists text.
Yeah. Maybe that's where my mistake is.
And what is group list text?
So I think I have a pop-up, right? I just created I created a list, just created a name, right?
It says list. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much that's just it.
And then go back to the preview.
Preview.
And click new.
So it doesn't change.
It's not changing. So we're not getting the all right. Do you mind if I click over?
Yes, please. That'll be awesome. Oh. So
Doing okay?
yeah, just tired. Had a long day.
How do I find which group I'm in?
Sorry.
How do I get to the tab where the repeating group is?
So now are you in the right one? So there is no, it's not page, it's page bills. Sorry. I think it's
Oh,
bills.
sorry.
So I still have the old one. I haven't yet deleted it. I should delete it. So it's bills. Okay. So yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha that. So this
And
is it.
then
So so you might want to go to the add bills
reusable.
yeah, reusable. Yes, please. So yeah.
It's not looking familiar for me. But this is purchase order.
Yeah, so I haven't yet touched that one. So it's once I can figure out these first two, it's just,
So share your screen again.
do you want me to share my screen again? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this, my bad, I have to share my screen actually. Start to, okay. So this, where is it? Is this it? Yeah, yeah, okay, this one. So this is it. All right. Can you see it, Tanya?
Okay. Yep, I can see it.
So it's
So you're in the reusable add bills and then group add items. And then I'm just having trouble finding add items. Group add items. Why am I not seeing what you're seeing though?
let me see what you're seeing. Maybe because, but you're actually, I can see that you're on
From a
customer.
cursor. Okay,
Yeah,
but I think there's like an input group buttons.
Okay,
I'm
maybe.
looking for the new button. Where is the new button that adds a new bill
Oh,
to
the
the
new
database?
button. Go to group list items. See the new button. Group list items. Right.
Group list items. Okay.
Yeah, you see the new button. Have you seen it?
There we go. Now I can see it. Okay. So then I'll share my screen again.
Okay, let me stop sharing. So do you now do a recording for 2 hours?
What about it?
I said the recording, is it now for 2 hours?
Oh, yeah, the recording that we're doing right now?
Yeah, no, I think I'm asking. Before I thought it was usually 1 hour, then I think you said you move it to off office hours or something.
Oh, yeah, so technically we're in after hours. I should probably click the stop recording, but we'll keep recording if you don't mind. But often the first hour is office hours and we record, and then the second part moves to after hours and we stop recording generally. But today we're just doing all recording. So,
Then the other thing
we're at an hour and a half right now.
The other thing I wanted to ask is, once you said you don't post immediately now, that you post how many days after, just in case I want to see the office hours that was in. When do you post it back online now? Is it a week after, 2 weeks after?
Not quite a week after at the moment. We have like a bank of a week of them ahead of time, and
Okay.
then we've had some that were not recorded or that we recorded and decided not to publish since then.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's not quite a week. I think it's like 4 or 5 days later. But
Okay.
if you ever want to see one, you can just ask me and I can send you a link to the recording
Okay. That's
so
fine.
you don't have to wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay, so now we have, okay, so add bills is in its own reusable, which has been shown on the page called bills. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just on the page called
And
bills.
then, okay, so I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to go to that page.
Because I'm
I
wondering.
apologize in advance. I'm going to have to go in about 10 minutes.
That's fine. That's fine.
So, what
Apologies.
was your question?
I said apologies that I came late.
Oh, it's fine. No
Yeah.
big deal. We can pick this up again. Okay, so this is the page, and this is add bills A, and then you also, okay, so add bills A is this, which has the reusable in it.
Yep.
I don't understand why.
You know, the strange thing is that you did the same thing for the purchase orders, and the purchase orders seems
Add bills A. Yep, we're just looking for the difference. There's a difference somewhere. We will find it. So this is the add bills A reusable. And then in the reusable here, we have this group. I'm just going to refresh this.
Did you hear about the startup in Nigeria that got a $3 billion valuation?
No, what's it called?
Flutterwave.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It's the most valuable startup in Africa now.
That's amazing. All right, so this group is not visible on page load and is collapsed when it's hidden.
Yep.
And it shows up when get bill from page URL is group list text, which is list,
Yep.
right? And so that's working. Okay.
That's working.
So then this group here is there a group that holds both of these groups? This one has a condition, but it's empty. So I'm just going to remove it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
So if I go to appearance here and I look for group add item, this is the one I was looking for. It has a conditional when get bill from page URL is not empty, then this element is visible. But that's not actually what we want. Is get page parameter name bill of type bill. Yes, that should be working, but I wouldn't use the same. What I would do here is I would say is, and then you're using hidden parameters here. You have like a pop-up with these groups here.
Yeah. So
And you have group list and group list is of type text here.
Yeah.
So I would say then this is group add and group display. I'm just going to take one here.
You want to take the second one?
No.
Add. That's like adding items.
There you go. So when the group adds text is add, or you could use the same one. You could use Bill's text and then you could change this text from list to something else.
Okay.
But right now, the reason that it's not showing is it's using the same parameter as the other one. So, and for some reason it's not changing. So let's do something different here. So when, what we will do, I think the cleanest way to do this is group list, group add, and group display. So when group add, go here, to new, okay, create a new bill, go to page bills, okay, add. Yeah, I think that's what's wrong here. So this group that's holding these is referring to get bill from page URL is group list text. And this is wrong. I think what we want to do I'm going to call these tabs even though they're not on your page here. You have tabs here, right? But these are different pages that you go to, correct?
Yeah.
Got it. I'm going to change this and we're going to say get screen. When get screen from page URL is group. And then we're going to come in here into the pop-up here. And I'm just going to make this pop-up taller for now. Here. These are going to come together. So when they first load the page, you want to see this repeating group down here, right?
Yep.
So we're going to leave this group's text empty. This green text is what you're going to determine which thing you're showing on the page, right? So
Yep.
on page load, I want to go to want to actually want to go to the parameter there. I could do that. Create new thing, go to the page. I'm going to go to page. bills. And send new parameters, and we're going to do, let's see here, it's going to be green. And the screen is going to be page load. I also want to display data in group screen here. We're changing this too much. It should just be this. The bills screen equals list. And then what we do is here in this one, and get screen from URL, and we're going to clear this. We're going to get screen from page URL is list. And this is going to be visible. Then what we need to do here is in this parent group, when get, let's say screen, is add, and this is visible. And then what we need to do here, parent group bill. Parent group bill here, we want to show it when the text in the URL is add, but what we want to show, we want to get bill from the URL of type bill. And so then when we do this new button, I'm going to create the new bill, and then we're going to go to page bills. The add is here. This is going to be screen.
Screen, yeah.
Will be add. And I'm going to have to go.
Okay.
And then the next one here is going to be bill, and it's going to equal the result of step one's unique ID.
All right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that will start to make sense when you play around with that a little bit.
Okay. Okay. That works. I'll give it a shot. If not, I'll probably just send you a Loom
Yeah,
video.
just ping. Yeah, just exactly. Just send me a Loom.
Okay. But can I get a link maybe when you just to be be on the safe side, maybe later today, tomorrow, you can send me the video of just this part. That would be awesome for me too.
Yep, absolutely. I will do that.
Thank you, Tanya. Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, Adeboye. We'll see you everybody next time. Thank you so much for watching, for those of you who are catching the replay. And I'll talk to you soon, Adeboye.
Yeah, bye.